In the previous movie, we had one file in which we added our HTML form code and also our PHP code. Now in this lecture, we are going to do something different. So in one file, we are going to add our HTML form, and in the second file, we are going to add our PHP code. Remember, both files will be our PHP files, but one file with the HTML form code and other file with the PHP code. So I have this file of simple.php. Let's save this file as HTML file with the extension of PHP. Now let's save as this file again with something different name. So I'm gonna call it php file.php. Now here I have the HTML form file in which I'm going to add simple code of HTML form, which we seen in the last lecture. Nothing changed. But in my action attributes, now this time I'm gonna connect this HTML file with my PHP file. So I'm going to add in our action attribute name of this file, php file.php, saving this one out. Now we have this file of HTML file. Now we haven't added any kind of functionality of PHP in these fields. So if I submit this form, see, now we have php file.php because the action attributes is moving my file from HTML file to PHP file after submitting this form. So let's submit it again. You have to look here. See, now we are on our PHP file. So every bit of code in this lecture I'm going to add in our PHP file here. So first of all, before doing anything, let's see the structure what we are receiving on our PHP file from our HTML file. So using print r, I'm gonna pass our super global variable of post, what we are receiving from our HTML file, saving this one out. And now move back to HTML file, refreshing the page, submit this file. See, now we are receiving our array in which we have username, password and submit, and then we submit our file by clicking on our button which had the value of submitted. Here we have the value of submitted in our HTML file. So we are having just these simple things in our PHP file which we are sending from our HTML file. Now let's do some PHP work in our PHP file. So first of all, let's add two variable here as we did before and connect it with our super global variable of post so that we can receive our data from this HTML file. And as we are doing something on the different files, so we have to connect our variable of submit with our submit button as well. So for now I can say that if my variable of submit is post, you can add single quote here if you want. So let's add single quote here. It's not going to differ at all. So it means that if the user is submitting our form, then what should you do? You just echo one simple statement here, that successful login. Now saving this one out, we have this file of HTML file, refreshing the page. Now if I submit this button, see, now we have successful login right after our array of print r structure. So it means that our files are connected well with each other, and also we are getting the information from our other file of PHP. So if I add one more echo statement right after our successful login, I can say that welcome, the username which we are getting from our HTML file. Refreshing the page, HTML file page. Let's give it username of Alex. Submit. See, now we have welcome Alex. Now we are sure that our files are connected. Our data is also showing on our php file.php. So it's time we can really dirty our hand with other PHP code. So now let's add some basic validation on our form for seeing the information how it work in our PHP file. So I'm gonna say that if my form is set with the username and my username is not empty, then you can just simply echo that username is set with the name of username variable. So if it's going to check whether our username is not empty and it is set, so we are focusing on two things here. First, we are checking whether our username is set, and the other thing is we are just checking whether our username is not empty. So if it's not empty and it is set, then it going to echo that username is set with the name of username that our user is going to enter. And in else structure, I can just simply say that echo no username detected. Saving this one out, refreshing our HTML file page, and I'm gonna add here username of loop. Submit, and now we have this username is set with the name of loop. So let's add couple of br tag in our code. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my password, so let's copy this one from here, and I'm gonna say that if my password is set and my password is not empty, then you can say that password is this which our user is going to add, and else you can say that no password detected. Saving this one out, refreshing the page. Now username will be Jazib and password will be Akram. See, now we have username is set with the name of Jazib, and then we have password Akram. Now back to our HTML file. So if I submit this form, then you can see we have no username detected, no password detected. So if I add one username of loop here and leave the password as it is, submit this form, see, now we have username is set with the name of loop but no password detected. So instead of having this username is set with the name of something and no password detected, you can add by default password and by default name here. So move back to my editor. Now let's comment this whole code of here that we just created for seeing that we are having the username and password, and I'm gonna say that if my username is set, then just post my username to the user to the next page of php file.php. So if the username is set, then what should you do? You just equal my username with the new variable of username. We are doing it for checking whether the user is going to add something or not, and echo this username, and else just set my username with the empty string. So what I did here, I said that if the username is sending by HTML file, then it's okay. You should set it with another variable of username and echo me out the other username that the user is setting. And else when you are not having the result from the HTML file, means from our fields, just set my username by default to empty string. Saving this one out. Now let's do the same for our password as well. For setting the by default password, changing it for password, we need $sign here too, password here too. So the code from line 35 to line 47 is just for setting the username and password default. So when we don't have the information from the user, we can just simply set our default value with the empty string. Saving this one out, back to HTML file, refreshing the page. So first let's add our username of OOP, password to be something like 456, submit. Now we have our OOP and then we have 466. So if I add here nothing and submit it, see, now we don't have anything because we have set it our username and password with nothing and we made it to empty string. And if I try to refresh this file, phpfile.php, right from here, then you can see we have the error of username, password and submit, and our array is empty. Why? Because we are not getting anything from the other file of HTML. We are just refreshing our PHP file. So this file is completely useless until you go from the proper channel, and that is going through the HTML file by submitting our file toward the php file.php.